How you doing, guys? Chris from Grace Arms. Like I said in my last video, we're going to take apart. I'll show you how to field strip and detail strip the 9422. Mine's from Chaparral Arms. It's a similar process for the actual Winchester, so let's get into it. Let's start by seeing some of the tools we're going to need for this. You're going to need a 13mm socket. I don't have a deep socket, so I'm using an extension. You're going to need a nice set of screwdriver bits with a screwdriver. You're going to need some precision smaller Phillips screwdrivers as well for some of the smaller screws. That is it. Let's get to it. Okay, so before we begin with any firearm, we're going to do our safety check. Make sure that it's safe to work on. So we're going to remove our magazine inside tube, and we're going to open up our action, double check in the chamber there, make sure it's safe. So this gun is safe, we are good to go. The only thing you need to field strip, for a basic field strip of this firearm, the 9422, is a flathead screwdriver with the best fit. So I've got one of those here. You may be at the range, you may be, maybe you don't have the proper screwdriver and you need to take it apart. What's recommended is just to put a cloth over it. That'll help fill that gap, and then if you slip, you're not going to damage the receiver in any way. But I have a screwdriver of best fit, so we'll just take out that takedown screw, put it aside, and it comes apart in two halves. Reach in and pull out your bolt slide and your breech bolt. When you take them out, be very careful because there's a cam pin inside that could easily fall out and get lost. So you've got your breech bolt, you've got your cam pin, and you've got your bolt slide, and you've got your two halves. That is it. That is all you need to do. That's as far as you need to go for cleaning purposes. You can clean all your parts. You can get into the breech end of your barrel and clean it out. That's it. That's all you need to do. I'll show you how to go a little bit further in case you want to refinish the stocks, or if you need to change a barrel ring or a sight or something like that. So we'll set the barrel assembly aside and we'll take our butt stock, and if we just unscrew these butt plate screws, there's two of them on the bottom there, just like most rifle stocks. You just unscrew them until that butt plate comes off. Inside the butt plate, put that aside, there's a 13mm nut bolt that you're going to have to loosen off. Once you loosen that off, your butt stock will come right off of your action. Inside is your bolt, is your butt stock bolt, and two washers that aren't supposed to be there. These aren't the original washers, so I'm going to have to look around for the original washer that's supposed to be on here. We'll put that aside. Now you've got your butt stock, put that aside, and you've got your action. It's not recommended to take the action apart. You don't need to go any further with that unless there's a problem. Unless there's a part that you need to replace, then it's recommended to take it to a proper gunsmith. But that's all we're going to do for now. Let's put the action aside. We'll work on the barrel assembly. Your rear sight, it's on a dovetail. Mine comes off with just a little bit of pressure. Yours might need to be coaxed out of there a little bit with a rubber mallet. So you take off your rear sight, you got your rear sight elevation, put them aside. For your front sight, get yourself a small screwdriver, Phillips, and just unscrew that front sight. Once you get that front sight off, be very careful because there's this little dovetail piece underneath that you might lose. Put that aside, and your rear and your front sight and your hood. Next thing we want to do is we want to get off these barrel rings. So again, we want to find a screwdriver with best fit. We'll go for a smaller one here because it's a smaller one on this front barrel ring. Unscrew that screw until it comes out. Give it a pull, put it aside. You may need to manipulate the magazine tube and the barrel slightly just to get that to come off. Once it's off, put it aside. Next is our rear barrel ring. Just unscrew that. Same thing, put the screw aside. And then work it off. Carefully pull it off without scratching your barrel. Put it aside. Now you can take out this little screw that's on the bottom of your forestock. Once this screw is out, you can now remove your ammo tube, your magazine tube, and then your front stock will come right off. That's it. That's all we're going to do today. You can take the barrel off if you need to replace the barrel, but we're not going to be doing that. So we'll put that aside. And now you have your pieces if you want to refinish them or what have you. That is that's all. That's as far as we're going to go today. Like I said, if you do need to go and get the action or take the bolt apart, it's best to take it to a proper gunsmith. There's a lot of little parts that you can lose very easily. So we'll put it back together now. Everything's in the exact opposite, right? Turn your barrel up. Your front stock goes on. Make sure you put your rear, we need our ammo tube back in there. You put your ammo tube in. Try to line up the hole properly, because obviously when you stick that screw in, it's going to mar it, the finish a little bit. Plus your front, you want that front barrel ring hole to be lined up nicely as well. Right, so once that's in, we can put our forearm stock screw back in. Tighten that down. Next comes our rear barrel, making sure we're putting it on the right way. Careful not to scratch it as we put it on. And then put the screw through. Make sure that when you're putting these things on, that, like I've done it right here, good example, right? Make sure they go on so that all your screws are going to be on the same side. You know, that way not only does it look better, but that's the way that you took it apart. That's the way that it should go on. I've got that upside down. Okay, so that goes on. When you put your screw in, make sure it lines up properly on the other side. And then screw it down. Again, carefully with a screwdriver of best fit. You don't want to slide off and make a nice big scratch across it. Tighten that up. It should be flush on the other side. And then it's time for our front barrel ring. Again, you may have to manipulate the two tubes, the ammo tube and the barrel, just a little bit to get it on where you need it. Make sure it lines up properly with your hole in the right spot. And then in goes your other screw. Again, you want to make sure that it goes in straight and lines up properly on the other side. I don't think I've got this. There we go. Put it through. When it lines up, there we we go. Screw it down. Alright. Now, your sights, again, dovetail, just slides right back on. Slide it back and forth for adjustment of windage. Put your elevator back in. Your little dovetail for your front sight. Put your front sight on. Your screw in. And with your little Phillips screwdriver, screw it back down. Alright, so that's the barrel assembly finished. You can go ahead and put your magazine tube back in if you wish. That way that is fully completed. And put it aside. Take our action and our buttstock, them back together, insert your bolts, 13mm socket. I like to just get it started first. And tighten it up. Butt plate back on. The 2 butt plate screws. Let's get a better fitting screwdriver bit. Screw that down. And that one down. Alright, so that's your rear end all put together. Now, you want to take your breech bolt, you want to take your bolt slide and your cam pin, insert your cam pin into your bolt. Make sure that it's perfectly level in there so that it doesn't get caught on the way in. Your bolt can only go on one way, so it's not like you're going to mess it up. Stick it in there. And then make sure you get it inside the rails when you're putting it in. If it gets caught up, it's probably your striker on your trigger, your firing pin striker. Just lift up on it from the bottom and slide it in. Push it till it locks, and then insert your 2 halves, and then put your takedown screw in. Now, I don't know if anybody else has this problem with their actual Winchesters or any other reproduction. I think I might need to change my carrier spring, but the carrier likes to fall over to one side, and if that happens, she won't line up properly in there. So what I have to do is I have to work with it a little bit. Use a small pick, and I just pull that carrier pin over so that it lines up properly. She doesn't always want to cooperate, but once it lines up properly, put in your takedown pin, screwdriver, best fit, tighten it up, work the action, make sure it works. A great thing to have on hand if you're doing any kind of disassembly is a couple of snap caps. Or in this case, these aren't snap caps, these are just action-proving dummy rounds. Open up your magazine tube, pop a couple in, as if you were really loading. And just check that action and make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. Not they're ejecting and falling all over the floor. Right? So we're good. That's how you take it apart. If you have any questions, any comments, leave it below. If anybody else has any problems with any issues getting the two halves together like that with a carrier, let me know. I'm going to pick up a carrier. Well, there you have it, guys. That's the disassembly and the reassembly of the Chaparral Arms 9422. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'm trying to bring a lot more stuff to you. Got a lot more ideas. I want to build a nice, strong channel. If you guys have any comments, criticisms, leave them below in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. If anybody else has an issue getting the two halves together of a 9422, whether it be Winchester or another Chaparral Arms or any other of the variants, let me know. I'm definitely going to have to change that carrier pin or carrier spring and see if that solves my problem. But until the next video, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye.